All right, so there's this post that was made by the Bleach Soul Resonance Guides and News Twitter, which, by the way, this is not affiliated with the actual Bleach SR official Twitter, so, don't get that confused. But leak and bug clarification. There's currently a bug which lets you select Kenpachi as character. Kenpachi is shown as a spirit type. This is being dismissed because of leaks being slash. Keep in mind, Kisuke Urahara used to be spirit and was changed to slash. Chances are he might actually be spirit. So this is important because we can sort of talk about like the concept of the characters. If you didn't watch the video where I tried to guess who the quote unquote leaked or, revealed characters coming are that weren't on the actual, original data mine where you could see characters like Soifon, etc., etc. I did have reasonings for why I thought this character was that, or, this was this. And as we go down here, we have people saying like, Yachiro increases slash, pretty much all the confirmation for Kenpachi. This isn't really anything. Characters can be whatever they want, right? And we're just gonna like go through a few of these responses. We're gonna talk about like how I feel about this and if it changes anything with my pulling philosophy now that I've got Toshiro. Thankfully, I did get Toshiro in literally 2 10 pulls, so it's not like I'm hurting. It's not like I'm, I broke the bank to get Toshiro, so I'm not exactly going to be like, oh no, I have to skip Kenpachi now, who is like one of my favorite characters because he might be slash, or he might be spirit. Per leaks, Aizen will help. Toshiro and Momo increase spirit damage. LOL has no correlation. Kisuke being spirit also made more sense, but they changed him to slash after the first beta. If you remember me talking, like I said, if you happen to watch me talking about what the characters could be, I said that it is sort of finicky because Urahara is a character who by all metrics should be a spirit character. There's no way that character should be a slash, whereas someone like Byakuya with his Semonzakura, he embodies slash, right? And you could argue that Byakuya is another character who could easily be spirit because he uses a lot of Hado early on, but just his Shikai and his Bankai, he like embodies slash, right? It's the most iconic thing about him. You should ask yourself, why is Kenpachi spirit in a bug when he has slash and alpha? And just, to clear up. Yududu and Urahara were spirit in alpha and beta, probably for the same reason as Kenpachi and Yachiru, but they still ended up changing Urahara to slash. It's really not that deep. Kenpachi has been slashed since alpha, and if a bug ever shows him as spirit, that would mean someone on the dev team manually changed his type. At the end of the day, it's all speculation. You really shouldn't try to attach too much logic to their typing decision. It's just a lot of reaching. This is true. One thing I would say is that Kenpachi could be spirit for just meta reasons. Spirit is by far still getting the least amount of characters, even though Strike is the most dire element type, obviously. Spirit hasn't been shown to be getting a ton, and it's mostly a thing of, how do I say this? It's mostly a thing of just rate of which they put them out, because, like I said, this is just from data mine, right? This is just from data leak, so it is what it is. But let's switch over to the game and see if this, like, what I'm thinking in terms of actually interacting with this post. Like, say he comes out and he is spirit. This is just like, this is only for, say he comes out and he is actually spirit, then how does it change my plans going forward, right? Do I operate with this in mind, or, am I still pulling Gin? Am I still pulling Aizen? Etc., etc. So let's see. And here we are joined in game with the man of the hour himself, Urahara, and we're going to go to characters and just take a look at, I guess, my account as it stands, right? Because Kenpachi almost certainly will be a DPS. There's no doubt about that. Toshiro feels like a hugely powerful DPS, even with only at 16 or, cresting 17,000, still very strong. Urahara is sort of the man of the hour because Urahara was made for gameplay decisions. He was going to be spirit, obviously, and just imagine this is like Bankai Ichigo. He was going to be made spirit, obviously, but then it was felt that he could just help out, the limited character. That way, maybe you pull for Bankai Ichigo, but you don't hit Urahara. Now you're thinking, oh no, I need to pull, I need to swipe, I need to do this or that, and I need to use my selector and stuff on Urahara, right? It's just one of those decisions that, like, is obviously locked in that way. Whereas, like, Tosin, characters like Tosin, characters like Ikaku, characters like, Yuryu, these are characters who sort of have an odd relationship with their typing. Ikaku obviously having a spear, it's, you can tell why he's thrust. Renji having a weapon that is sort of serrated, you could tell why he's thrust. If thrust is going to be considered the damage over time class, right? Arrows being a very pointed weapon, you could tell why they're thrust, even though you could argue that any Quincy released could be spirit, easily could be spirit. You could tell why like a bow wielding character might be thrust. Same with spirit characters and their use of unorthodox weapons or Hado. Orihime being a great example, Yoryu being a great example, or Urudu being a great example, and then characters like Strike, Support, Striking, you know, literally a punching guy, you know what I mean, like big bruiser type character, and then another punching character, right? So we sort of start rounding out the typings. If we end up with Kenpachi as spirit though, and why would Kenpachi be spirit if we were to just take it as like base principles, like I need a reason for why this character could be considered spirit? Well, obviously that version of Kenpachi, the entire crux of his, I guess his like fighting style at first, his reveal had to do with spirit pressure. He was Mr. Spirit Pressure. I think the only person that we'd seen up until that point who had as much spiritual force, you know, resonating from them, his Ryatsu, was Aizen. That's how we sort of get an idea that something is up with Aizen, right? Is Kenpachi is this type of person, and Aizen, the very mild-mannered guy, is also this type of person. So if they wanted to manifest him sort of being this spiritual juggernaut, I guess that could be a reach, but it certainly feels more so like, just like Kisuke, he is being changed purely for a gameplay function. And so I guess I pose to you, if this does come to pass, does this change your pulling in any way? I will say that as far as gacha goes, and this is a concept I want to explain in sort of a, I want to explain this in a very neutral way. I don't want you to hear this and be like, well, you're attacking me, you're coming at me, you're trying to, enforce the way you pull onto me. No. I really don't care how people decide to free to play or spend their money or do whatever they want. Most of you, if not all of you, are adults. You can make those decisions for yourself. But when it comes to me, who tends to play these games very free to play, I try to pull with best practices in mind. So if I see a character like Kenpachi, who I love, Kenpachi is the character for me. If he does come out and he has been changed to spirit, if he is not grossly ahead of a character like Toshiro, he will unfortunately end up being a character I have to skip. Because why would I pull on him when I could pull on Aizen or Gin? You know what I mean? These limited characters who we don't know when they're coming back. I don't know if they've confirmed when a character like Bankai Ichigo, for example, is coming back. Now, with this information, it makes Bankai Ichigo look like me skipping or not re-rolling for Bankai Ichigo look a lot worse, right? Because now I don't have that major, DPS. My plan has sort of fallen apart. And because my plan has fallen apart, because my plan can switch on such a dime, it means that I need to sort of be mindful of what I spend my free-to-play currency on, because I'm not whaling. I'm not dolphining, I'm not minuing, I'm not blah, 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 all these terms. I'm not spending anything. I'm a completely free-to-play player. I would imagine that's why a lot of people end up on these videos, is because they want to see a free-to-play perspective on this game that they might be enjoying, right? Most people aren't whales. And it's something I try to talk about with Dokkan, where if you spend $10 a month on your gacha, to me, you're a free-to-play player. I'm not going to lie. Because you're spending, you're not getting such a significant advantage. That's just me. I know people be like, well, you're not literally. I literally spend zero. It's like, I don't spend anything on this game, for example, but I spend $10 a month on Dokkan, right? To me, all of my struggles with Dokkan are the same as all of the struggles the free-to-play players have, right? Because we're all saving, we're all waiting, we're all having to skip banners over and over and over again, right? Same with Bleach. I'm completely free-to-play, and I'm saving, and if I skip, I'd say, hey, maybe this character isn't the one you need to be prioritizing, right? So that is just something to think about. As for where's my account right now? So Toshiro being here. So here's the thing. If I'm to take this at base principles, I'm going to assume the leak is right. That means Toshiro, Aizen, And getting a Momo, for example, would be my best spirit team. That means Gin, Tosin, and Rangiku, or, you know, some other character, maybe just throwing Kisuke in there, would be my best thrust team. I now am sort of now putting together in my mind the order of things for myself, because regardless of anything, my Slash team will sort of just be carried by having these two extremely strong Slash characters in it, even if it means just running, you know, Shikai, Ichigo, right? I wish I got more dupes to this guy, but it is what it is. So yeah. I think if anything, this leak just... Sorry, I didn't mean to click out of there, but I think just, more than anything, this leak just confirms that maybe I'm going to just be I'm going to be pulling for Gin, who I already love, and Aizen, who is one of my favorite characters in the arc. It's just this version of him isn't my favorite, so it's why I was like fine to skip him if anything. But it does feel like it confirms that maybe I'm just going to be skipping. I mean, it's hard to say, but maybe even Kenpachi and pulling on a different red unit at some point. But we'll have to see. Remember, we are getting a lot of tickets between each banner, so it's not like we're just totally, you know, washed out. But yeah, that's how I'm feeling right now. It's pretty staggering news, I'd say, because I did plan the opening of my account around the Kenpachi data mine. But hey, hopefully it's all just a fucked up data mine, and they turn him back into a Slash character, and then my plan still works. And if not, we have ways out of it. So with all that being said, like if you like the video, subscribe to the club. We all go make it, and peace.